So, I'm not averse to technology, but I'm more of a people person. And so, I've been in online situations and it takes me a long time just to give a one-sentence response because I'm not sure how it'll be taken. So the idea of trying to incorporate technology, which to me is more of an impersonal way to communicate, is definitely a challenge. I'm not averse. I did finally get a smartphone. My basic philosophy on everything for the students that I teach, because it's developmental reading, developmental writing, is to keep it simple. Our students, we assume sometimes that they're very well versed in technology, but that's not always the case. So I started out adding in little things in the fall in my integrated reading and writing course. My students, we used videos in class frequently. I was in the CAP building in room 303, so I had lots of opportunities to use technology just in that room, and did. I added things to Blackboard that I hadn't added before, like journals, and they had a wiki that they created. We studied a book that was set in the First and Second Civil Wars in Liberia, and that was an area which students had no idea about. So they researched it and they collaborated on their information, and they could read each other's information, and that became very successful. I also then ventured into the Smart Podium and using Smart Notebook to edit students' papers because I could write right on them, and that became kind of a fun activity as well. Did a little Dropbox. Thought, okay, maybe I should read a little bit. Downloaded the Kindle app, teacher toolkit, branching out a little bit, and then it seemed like it was a really good thing to do. So I just started downloading apps. Until my iPad was full of apps. And then I looked at all these little boxes and went, oh my gosh, what do I do with all this now? There were math ones, because Roxanne was using them and they were looking really good. So, I was going, all right, I have all this stuff, what do I do with it? I sat back and go, back to my philosophy. Keep it simple. And, I came up with a couple of things that I could try to use that would help students and also my own kind of efficiency and productivity. And I ventured out into Remind 101. And what Remind 101, essentially, it's an educational tweeting app. So I could send messages to my students throughout this semester. It became very important because, if I scroll down here, the first one I sent out was shoveling done. Answer key for your vocab unit 1 test 4 will be posted on Blackboard. So I could communicate with my students even though we were separated by distance and not able to be on campus. At the time, I didn't know if days would be added. That kind of keeps everybody up to date and everybody in communication, which was one of my goals overall, was to, increase the communication between students and me, to increase their interest. More recently, there have been features added, so you can now attach things, which is kind of cool. So I could attach something to it, as opposed to just sticking to, my limited number of characters. Just little bits and pieces of information that they could use to keep on track in the course. And a lot of times people forget things when they leave the room, the brain dump that happens in the magic door. And so, this was a way to kind of keep that information with them. Our students use a program called Play-Doh in the lab. With the Play-Doh app, I can check in on my students. Now, of course, it's the end of the semester, so most of them, you can see the coding in red that most of them have not been online in quite a while, because that would be the red indicative. But it tells me when the students last logged in, how much they, I can click on their name to see how much they've completed and kind of keep track of what they're doing. Log Me In is another app that allows me to access my desktop computer here on campus. Log in, you can see my desktop that's sitting back in my office. I could also see all the icons on my own desktop, and they're functional. So I can get to files and things remotely, much easier than elsewise. So what I used for my DVR0061 class, I decided that, I'd seen presentations on clickers, I'd looked into Turning Point, we have clickers, but it's cumbersome to get a box of clickers and take them in and then have everybody. So I found a website, polleverywhere.com, where students can use their cell phones to send in their responses. And even if you have even if you have a dumb phone, you can still text. So it's something that is functional for a wide variety of students. Smartphones are easy. They actually have the option too of tweeting. So you can either tweet your response or you can text it. So, whatever's easier for the student, it all comes back in the same poll. And so I used this for two purposes in the course. One was to review for vocabulary. In a DVR0061 class, for those of you who aren't familiar, there's not a ton of just content. There's a lot of skills where we use content to reinforce the skills, but the only thing that the students are really just like opening up their brains and dumping in are 200 vocabulary words that they're learning. So, what worked out really well is that they could, a couple days before the test, we could come in and review using an analogy vocabulary unit review, and the students then had to bring their books to class because I thought it would be too easy just to have everything up here and have them passively staring at the screen. So they had to bring their books to class. They could work in pairs or threes, and even though I didn't call it a competition, whenever you set something up in pairs or trios in a class, it automatically becomes one. So it was an informal competitive environment, which meant that there were very low stakes for the students, but that way, they could be wrong, and it's okay, but they're getting to work together to come up with a response. And by the fourth unit test, my classes competed against each other, not by my choice. So after my 8 o'clock class, the 9:30 class said, "Did we beat your 8 o'clock class?" in overall, how many they got right. And so then by the Tuesday, Thursday classes, I went, hey, okay, my 9:30 class yesterday, they got a 95 as a class. And they went, oh, we can beat that. The students have learned through their years of schooling that it's wrong to be wrong. And so they're not rewarded for actually going outside of the box and thinking differently and responding in an incorrect manner because they're just simply shot down for being wrong. And really the best way for them to learn is to be wrong. So this kind of allowed them to be wrong in a safe environment and then discuss the right possible answer. And that held true also that there were discussion starter questions. If I start the poll, a number comes up, the students text in their answers yes or no, and to a couple of questions I can kind of get it started to say where, students who might not normally respond would sit back there and text in an answer. Or the students would kind of confer with each other and go, what do you think? I don't know, what do you think? Do you have a phone on me? And they actually start talking on an individual level, which then allows them, I think, to get more out of the conversation as a class. I guess technology, for me, has less to do with learning the material and more to do with the initial engagement. And so once students can be drawn into, this is interesting, let's see how it works, everything's so fragmented out there, and as in the college, we're trying to get students to be able to make connections and focus on one thing at a time. And so it's sort of that initial hurdle to get over.